This is the Word on the Street for Module 7. The first question is about an awesome customer experience. Recently, I had a wonderful customer experience that was at the El Nepal in Eminence, Kentucky, while I was on duty this past Saturday. So we went there twice, actually. The first time we went there, we sat down, ordered drinks. Drinks weren't able to arrive to us before we were toned out. We went to the run, did our business, got a refusal, thankfully, because we were starving, and decided to go back to El Nepal. When we got there, the original waiter that we had was slightly annoyed with us already, and so he requested somebody else to take charge of our service. That ended up being great for us because we have received wonderful service while we were there. And I really don't know if it was the uniform, which very well it could have been, or the fact that the staff and I got along very well. So I married a man from El Salvador who speaks Spanish fluently, so I've picked up quite a bit, and I'm familiar with the customs, the food, the language, etc. And I ordered my food, and the waiter asked me if I spoke Spanish in Spanish, and I replied, "Sí, yo estoy aprendiendo español." Yes, I'm learning Spanish. Because I don't ever speak Spanish to them when I first arrive, because that's rude to assume that somebody who looks like they might speak Spanish does speak Spanish. And so him and I, we kind of hit it off. I ordered some food that maybe not your everyday person from Eminence, Kentucky would order. I ordered horchata and carnitas and, tomatillo salsa and all these other things. And he brought me cilantro and con tortillas and all these other things that went along with my meal that would probably have been charged extra for, but he didn't charge me. And we talked about it, we talked about my husband, we talked about how I learned Spanish and all these other things. And I feel like that interaction, me getting along with the staff so well, really made my experience that much better. Hopefully I'll be able to go back, which I'm sure I will. Because I feel like that's how customer service should be. I know a lot of the times we're there, we want to do a job, we want to get it over with, but making that connection with your customer, like your patient, is really important as a whole. It makes it feel more than just another patient or just another run. I bet that we were more than just another customer, just another tip. I don't really feel like he was working it just for the tip. I feel like he was actually enjoying his encounter, enjoying the experience, because he actually pulled up a chair and started talking to us. So it was rather lovely, honestly. Now, to talk about a poor experience I had, kind of goes hand in hand with what I just said. I'm married to somebody who's from another country, who speaks another language, who's a different skin color than I am. And as we know, racism runs rampant here in America. And not just America, a lot of other places. And I never really noticed it because of my privilege, but when I married Jorge, I was able to notice it, and one of those instances was in Sam's Club in Lexington. We walked in, had our Sam's Club card ready, and don't chew on that. And you just forgive me, that's my rabbit. He likes to chew on things. And the lady essentially looked right at him and said that she wanted to see his green card. Not the first time that's happened, won't be the last time that's happened. And she was not talking about the Sam's card. I'm sure there might be a green one out there, as she tried to play it off as, but she repeated herself again. I want to see your green card. I got angry very quickly, because that's one of my pet peeves. You will not say anything like that regarding racism, especially to somebody that I love very dearly. I was kind of a Karen, but I called her a racist, called her out on her stuff, took care of it, filed a formal complaint, and that was really the end of it. Because I'm not going to sit there and argue with somebody about them just being flat out rude, flat out racist to somebody else. We've not been back for a while, and Jorge won't cancel the membership because he likes going there in Louisville. He likes to go to the one in Louisville, so he won't cancel it. But that was a negative experience of ours. Something that I would do about providing immediate service recovery, I haven't done that really in EMS except for one time, but I did do it frequently while I worked at McDonald's. I was a manager there, and I provided, I tried to correct the situation almost immediately. Multiple customers that went through the drive-through each day were typically not very happy with the service. It took too long, the fries are cold, the person at the window wasn't kind enough, yada yada yada. So that it was my job to essentially make the customer happy, because the customer is also always right, which I do not believe, especially if they throw coffee at a 16-year-old. That's not okay. But in EMS, you try to make the patient more comfortable. You try to provide the family a relief. Like, if somebody says something or did something that was offensive, you apologize for it, whether you think it was or not. For example, partner and I were dispatched to an unconscious unresponsive about 6 months ago. We arrived, the patient was DOA. There was obvious lividity, therefore the paramedic decided not to try any resuscitative efforts. He said something that made the family upset. I was unsure of what it was at the time. But the family took a liking to me, and I apologized for my partner's behavior. Seemed to put them a little bit at ease, and try to make an overall bad situation not as bad. So, there's an immediate service recovery. Preventing incidents like the ones that I had just described would be sensitivity training in EMS. You have to be sensitive to your patient and their family. I know over time it becomes more difficult because we see a lot and we don't get upset as easily. I don't want to say cold or hardened, but I'm sure some of us after 20 years have become that way without even realizing it. But sensitivity training would definitely be one way to prevent things like that from happening again. So, that concludes the Module 7, Word on the Street. Thank you for your time.